Is anyone going to play the intro, though?
Hello, everybody.
Welcome
Welcome to this episode of CS and BS, part of the Unchurned podcast series, part of UpdateAI and CS Insider and Kristi Faltorusso Enterprises. I'm Josh Schachter.
Yes.
Yes. Kristi, why don't you go ahead? Who are you?
I am Kristi Faltorusso. I'm currently the Chief Customer Officer over at Client Success. We are a customer success management software platform. We help our customers manage from new to renew. Been in the space for nearly 12 years, building, scaling, and transforming customer success teams. Now hyper-focused on sustainable success.
Gosh, it gets better every week.
Wow.
I just
Shoot, I am not prepared at all.
Right above you, not literally, but on my screen,
Not below me?
Jon
Okay.
Johnson.
Hey guys, I'm Jon Johnson. I've been scaling enterprise value, strategy, retention, and growth for the last 12 years. I currently work at user testing, where we're changing the way organizations build products and services through feedback directly from the people who use them.
Ooh, nice.
John, you've really honed your
I have.
intro.
It's my elevator pitch.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's almost as good as mine.
Almost.
Almost.
We have good
Erica,
editors.
it's all your turn. It's all yours.
Erica,
Oh,
you have to
no.
nail it. You have to nail this.
Good Lord. Great. Well, I'm Erica Akroyd, and I have been at Pendo for almost 7 years and started in my customer success journey just about that same time ago. And I've gone from enterprise to scaling customer success, and now I lead our customer education team at Pendo.
Wonderful. And I am Josh Schachter, a newly anointed top 25 CS influencer. And yet I've never worked a day in CS. I just follow these guys to teach me each episode what it is that's going on. And it's starting to work a little bit. But I'm a CS fanboy and the founder and CEO of UpdateAI. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Serious matters at hand. John went to the barbershop this weekend.
Yeah, we have to talk about this.
We don't.
No, we literally do.
And remember, this is a
It's really
podcast,
weird.
so we need to be
Watch
descriptive.
this on-
Tell us about this massacre. Just give us the quickly. We got to get on to the CS part. But
So
quickly.
quick.
can we talk like a visual? If you don't know what John looked like before this, John had voluptuous, voluminous, like just run your finger through ringlets, like
Yeah.
curls, like beautiful.
Yeah.
And he has since given us a tight
Tight.
shave.
And fade.
Smooth. Oh yeah, and it's a
and
fade.
like-
Yeah.
like a
No, listen,
legit-
I mean, they did a great job. Like your
They did.
barber, like snaps to him because
Steve.
that's quite the transformation. Steve, great job.
No, I
Steve.
mean everybody goes to a tech conference and then has a panic attack and shaves their head, right? That's like a normal thing. No, I had to find a last minute. I don't know. I woke up in a mood on Saturday and had to find. There's no. Anyways, I'm fumbling on my words. It was,
Was
an
that mood
interesting.
self-destructive?
It was absolutely self-destructive. I'm not happy with my hair. I do not appreciate it. I miss my curls. It's all gone. It's the shortest that my hair has been ever in my life.
Okay, well, what did your
and-
kids
Except
say?
for
You
your
came
arm
home,
hair.
Except for my
like,
arm hair. No, it's actually
you
my
came
arm hair is
home,
longer. Yeah.
and your hair is missing.
They did not.
What did
I
your
think
family
I scared
say?
them. I think I scared
Oh.
them. Daddy looks weird.
Oh.
So I normally go to a barber who I've been going to since I moved here. Love her. She does great work. But everything is like booked 2 weeks in advance, and it was an emergency, and I needed like someone to fix things, right? And so some guy told me about another guy, this guy named Steve, and he runs a barbershop in Raleigh called In the Cut. And I sat in his barbershop, and he preached to me with BB Winans playing in the background, and
I love this.
like full on, like I got the full barbershop experience, which I've never had before. He like lined me up, he did my eyebrows, he shaved my face. Like it was
Is
it
this
was
not
like an
normally the
emotional.
experience you have?
No, nope.
Will you go back?
Every time with
Oh
different
my god!
instructions.
Next time, maybe next time you FaceTime me, I want to meet Steve.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I would
and it was
like
like
that.
it was like $20 too. Like, come on. I usually spend a lot of money on my haircuts, and they're
Because
not
you were going
that
to a
great.
hair salon.
I was
It
going to
sounded
a
like you were
fancy
going
place.
to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
And was
So-
Eddie Murphy there dressed as an old man?
No, no, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was very much like, I don't know. It was in my neighborhood, and I got to like hang out with people I never met before. So it was good.
Oh, I love that.
But
Well,
now,
you look
like,
very handsome, John. You
I
should.
have customer
I
meetings.
know it'll grow on you,
and
but
it
you look
will
great.
also grow. But I like have
It will
like customer
grow.
meetings, and like I just don't know. You know, I'm struggling. Like my wife keeps telling me that it's fine, and I trust her.
Well,
but
I'm
I
not
also
here to tell you it's fine. I think it looks
trust her.
good. I think it looks good. It's not
Thank you.
fine. Like you're fine. Like it looks good.
Thank you.
If no one had met you, they'd be like normal. But
Yeah.
because we've all seen the
And there's a
normal
podcast about it.
curls, it's
I know.
very
I had a lot of curls when we did. Eric and I did karaoke last week.
What was
and
your
I'm still
song?
waiting on video. Oh, Erica.
No, we're getting
You
away
haven't?
from the BS part. We're
Oh,
going to the CS
okay.
part. We're going to the CS
Okay.
part.
Oops.
My
But
last.
can I just know what the song is, please, Josh?
Okay, but no follow-up commentary.
Okay,
Love
fine. What
Shack
was the
by
song?
the B-52s.
Okay.
Okay.
classic.
These ladies are lying. It's
terrible.
I hope for your sake that your hair grows back,
grows
but I
back,
still
yeah.
love you very much, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Josh
Thank
is
you for
just
the
mad
honesty.
because his hair doesn't
Jealous.
grow.
Yeah. I am just jealous. I am completely jelly. All right, Erica, on to you. We have your LinkedIn resume in front of our eyes. It's
Yeah.
so detailed, like the time and the craft you've put into this. Is there something you want to tell us? But
And I just changed my picture today.
I know. I saw
Wait,
that.
what
I
is
saw
wrong with me?
your Pendo shot.
It's great.
I didn't honestly. I haven't even updated it with my most recent position because I'm just so insecure about how many times I've moved around at Pendo. People are going to be like, "Is she okay? What's happening?"
This is an
I've
intervention.
literally had a new job every year that I've been at Pendo. So
We know. We talked about that before the show. Yeah, we're gonna
But I think that's a
probe.
good thing.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I've gone with
Erica.
the win for sure.
Can I start with this though before we get into that?
Sure.
I think it's really cool that you have a Bachelor of Social Work from University of Georgia and a Master's of Social Work. So you were all in social work. What happened?
What do you mean? This is social work, what we do.
Okay.
Right?
What happened?
What happened? Well, it was social work.
How much time do we have?
So I grew up in a small town in Georgia. So I think you kind of have to go way back to the beginning to understand how I got there and how I got here. So, my hometown is a very small town in Georgia. So I didn't even know what tech. I didn't know what software really was. There weren't that many opportunities. And so I went to the University of Georgia, I want to help people. What do I do? My mom's a social worker. So I was like, yeah, totally. I'll be a social worker because I love helping people. That's what I did. And I was a social worker for 7 years. And I had a lot of different experiences. And I realized that you really can't go far working for the state, especially. There's a lot of red tape. There's not a lot of change that you can really implement. I kind of felt like I was just punching a clock and getting the numbers that I had to get. And although it was fulfilling work and it made me feel good, it was kind of I felt stuck in a way.
You're referring to being a case manager for the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services for 5 years, which is what you did after getting your social work degree, right?
Yes,
cool.
Correct.
So how did so
Erica checks her resume. That's right. That's what I did.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. And I'll say I worked with people with disabilities and I helped them find jobs, and I feel freaking good about that.
Yeah,
but
I love that.
It was soul draining in another way that I was kind of just doing the same thing over and over. As you see, that bothers me because I like to jump around.
We know
bureaucracy, in my experience, often removes humanity, and when you're dealing with very needed humanity and facing it into a bureaucratic standpoint, there tends to be a lot of loss, just pointlessness, right? So, welcome to SaaS.
So you left working for the state. You were helping folks with disabilities, which is awesome. You were helping other types of casework. Tell us, what's this? I want to go into the stories here. What was the story of going from that into CS?
Yeah, and how did you get it litho, or is it in motion? It's litho now.
It was in motion.
It was in motion.
Okay.
Yeah, and they got they acquired Litho. So yeah, I had a friend who left. I had a coworker who was working at the same job at the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and he went to a local software company and became a customer success manager. And I had never heard of that before. I was like, what is that? He's like, Eric, I promise, like, this is what you need to be doing. Like, this is perfect. You're helping people, but like, you know, it's fun. And it's honestly, I hate to say it, it's like low stakes, right? It's like, we're not saving lives. We're not helping people, you know, cure cancer or anything. It was like, yeah, we're just going to help people buy software. I'm like, oh, cool. I can do that. I got rejected so many times though. Like, it was not easy to just like get into customer success, but In Motion Now just like gave me a shot. I think I was employee number 20. And they saw something in me. They saw like, this girl can handle all sorts of crazy shit. Like, she's seen it all. This is like great. So I had a lot of transferable skills.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Did you have somebody? So this is actually one of the questions too. Is, you know, I've been in tech most of my career, so like the learning curve of coming into a customer success job from tech was very, very easy. Like, let's talk about that transition from the software to the processes to the expectations to like, what the heck is software? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What was that visceral kind of experience? What was the learning curve for you? And then, yeah, we'll start there.
I was super lucky that I had that friend who was kind of coaching me through it. And, you know, during the interview process, I had to give like, you know, a tour of how to do something, you know, that I was good at or whatever. And I was like, fuck, I'm not good at anything. I don't know what I'm doing. So I kind of used my photography business and how to make a website. And so he was kind of coaching me on what to say. And then when I started, I had an awesome manager and I had teammates who were great at just kind of like coaching me through it. And I actually was like, I don't know. I think just going from the job that I had to this, I was like, this is easy. Like, you know, like people are upset, but I'm like, about what, you know? And I think I cared obviously about my job.
What?
About what?
Come
like
on.
About the software, you know,
it.
come on. And I think that really helped me not to be completely like stressed and overwhelmed and just paralyzed by the pressure, because I had gone through and seen so much bad stuff in my, you know, very short, you know, career that I had in social work. So it kind of helped me keep my cool. And I just learned the ins and outs of, I already knew how to be empathetic, although it doesn't sound like it because I'm like, who cares? But it was more just like, all right, let's really like get to the root of the problem and figure out how we can solve it. And knowing that it wasn't life-changing, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's really, I love that. Let's see, what was the last one? You kind of mentioned it, but did you have like a mentor, somebody inside the company, or was this outside of the company?
Yeah. So once I started, the folks there were just like really, really helpful. There was a girl who had started literally like the day I started, and she was just like a badass in customer success. Although not a lot of people came from customer success. You know, she was like a consultant and did something similar. So like account management or something. So she really like coached me, trained me, you know, once I got up to speed on the software. But customer success back then was a lot of just like demoing, you know, here's how to use this, here's how to use this, click here, click there, answer questions in a queue and call people on the phone and like ask them how they're doing and stuff. So it was very different back then.
All right, can we jump to the good stuff? I want to hear about this journey at Pendo, right? I like to think that my first customer success stint, I had a lot of roles in the 5.5 years that I had been there. Obviously, you win. You've been at Pendo for over 7 years, just about. And you've had how many different roles at Pendo?
I think 7. So I've lost count.
Let's talk about that. I mean, that's super impressive. I look at that and I see so many strengths. To me, these are all green flags. I know you feel like it might be perceived differently. I am like in awe of this because it means that the company values you so much that as there's challenges presented, you seemingly are the first person that they're thinking about, right? These are opportunities they're presenting to you. Tell us about your journey at Pendo.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm like feeling so validated by the queen of CS right now.
I wish John and Josh would feel validated when I say nice things to them.
Wait, I thought John was the queen of CS.
Oh my God.
Not after this
Don't
haircut.
come for Kristi. Do not come for Kristi.
Look at this. Erica, you can come back anytime you want.
All right. Well, thank you.
I knew this was going to
So,
happen.
all right.
I knew it was
Me
going to
and Erica
happen.
are starting our own spin-off podcast, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started in customer. I was a customer success manager. I was using the software Pendo at InMotion Now, and no one was surprised when I said I was leaving for Pendo because I was like the Pendo girly. Like, we got to use Pendo more. Like, let's use Pendo. Can we do this? Can we do that with Pendo? So everybody's like,
Pendo do?
yeah. So Pendo offers analytics for what your users are doing in your product, and then we also provide in-app messaging, so you can actually guide users onboarding or even, education within the product using just in-app guidance.
I'll show you my whole setup there, Josh.
Oh God,
It's
I
pretty
need to
great.
work on my elevator pitches, you
trying
guys.
to inform our listeners. Those
Yes,
maybe not familiar.
thank you. So I was super pumped to use the software that I was, supporting and to see the value in it. So that was a lot of fun for me. So I started at Pendo. I think I was employee number 81. Well, I know I was employee number 81, but there was only 5 CSMs at that time, and really small. We grew, and then as we grew, we needed leadership. So then I went from everyone has just like a certain number of customers. I moved into an enterprise role. That's the first little notch there, which moved into enterprise. Very quickly realized I don't want to touch enterprise. I don't want to go anywhere near enterprise.
It's
Like
special.
most people do.
Enterprise.
Not for me.
See, people think that is like the path to like accelerating your career. That's not my favorite either. Not my favorite segment. I'm not surprised.
I did not like it at all. I
Why
was
not?
like, so how do
Why
I
didn't you?
never talk to customers
What was
again?
the challenge with it?
I'm not good at like, I don't know. I felt very like schmoozy, like, oh, I got to be super tight with this, champion. And it was a lot of pressure to get the renewal. And I just didn't want to go deep in relationships with customer champions. Like the way I got excited and the way I found like, oh, this like really cool challenge is how do we do things at scale? Like I'm having the same freaking conversations with people over and over and over and over again, and I'm fucking bored. So how do I automate and like scale the things that I'm doing over and over again so I can do more important things? And so that's kind of how I got tapped to be to lead our mid-market and corporate customer success team. So once there was a position available for a management team, our team grew. I had already created a lot of process for this kind of like down market customer base.
So Erica, is this now your first? Is this your first role as a people leader?
Yes.
Okay, so this is when you were the
10
manager
people.
of mid-market and corporate customer success. You're now leading a team, right? How many? Tell us about your team. What are the team dynamics? How many people do you have? Are they? Are you managing any leaders? Like, give us a breakdown.
Started with 5, grew the team to 10. We started just in Raleigh and then had folks in San Francisco. So it was, all sorts of skill levels. I hired folks who had very little to no customer success experience to, people that I worked with, alongside coworkers with. So that was interesting to kind of like go from coworker to boss in a
peer
way.
to leader. That's an interesting shift, right? And not one that I think is easy. All right, let me put you on the hot seat for a second.
Okay.
What was the toughest thing for you personally about doing that, right? Moving from a peer to now leading people that may have been friends.
I will say that the peer to leader actually wasn't that difficult because I had already been seen as someone who was a leader within the organization and kind of had already established that kind of like mentor-mentee relationship with a lot of those folks. The hardest part was going after the same job as friends and having to like continue on and be like, oops, I got the job. And how do we like move on from this? And I think that was harder than,
never say,
peers.
oops, I got the job. It's like, yes, I got the job I deserved. I wish you all luck in the rest of your careers, right? Like, don't say oops. Don't apologize for your success. ever.
You're right. God, you're
Ever.
right. But we're all still friends, though. I just want to
Good. Well,
reiterate,
that's
you know,
nice.
we didn't let it affect our relationship. It was just awkward at first. And it was hard because, you know, these people were my friends and they were sad. So it was a little sad,
Yeah.
but not for me, obviously.
Right.
I guess this is where I lack a little empathy.
Well, and this actually leads us into one of my questions too about your path too, is at the thing that a lot of CSMs do probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years into their careers, they start thinking, maybe I should move into product.
Oh, God.
So
We're going to talk about the dark times.
So tell me about the dark times, because I know a ton of CSMs are like, I'd be a great product manager. And then they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Or maybe they are. But yeah, I mean, I've had that thought a ton of times, right? And people talk me out of it. I think you're one of them.
Yeah.
But tell us about the dark times.
No, don't say that. I never want to talk anybody out of, you know, pursuing their dreams. But I'll say from my experience, it was one of those things that I had only been in the role, 9 months, not even a year. And we were at our company kickoff, and the CEO sits down next to me and says,
good old Todd,
have you ever thought about being a product manager? And I was like, what? You know, like, no, I haven't. What's up? And he basically offered me, you know, this job on the spot and said, if you want the job, it's yours. And the reason they were doing it is because they were wanting to build out more for their customer success persona. They saw me as a subject matter expert, someone who is product led, using the product, and could really understand what a customer success manager or leader or executive would be looking for in these types of features. And I said yes, because you don't fucking say no when the CEO says, hey, do this job. Do you want to do this job? And I figured if there's ever a place I'm going to be a product manager, it's going to be Pendo. So I kind of was just like, Todd, I just need to know that if I don't like this, like, please make sure that like this isn't going to impact the rest of my career, because I wasn't sure. I was so scared, to be honest. But I had already made a huge career shift that I was like, book it, let's go. You know, like what's the worst that could happen? So
what was the worst that happened?
Yeah. So what was the worst that happened?
Like, yeah.
So I moved into my car and
yeah, I honestly, like, I would not take it back because I learned so much.
That's good.
I learned a lot about, you know, what that world is like, which ultimately served me when I went back into customer success, because now I understand the product persona better than anybody else. You know, like, I understand the pressures. I understand the day-to-day. I did not like the day-to-day. It was not like the glitz and glam that, you know, a lot of people say that product management is. Now, I had really awesome moments.
Do people say that? Do people say that there's glitz and glam in product management?
I mean, we just came from a
Yeah,
product
is it fancy?
management
Okay.
convention conference this last week, and that's all it was literal glitz and glam.
Glitz and glam.
So
Okay.
It can be a very strategic role, but I didn't like working with engineers. I didn't like people telling me I couldn't do something. I didn't like having, you know, this vision. No, I'm dead serious.
No, I
like,
love it.
This is
No, I know.
why I left working for the government, because people were like, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And I went to product, and these engineers were like, sorry, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. And I'd just be like, well, why? Tell me what I can do. And I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to like keep getting rejected. So I went back to customer success, where I could do whatever the hell I wanted.
So you don't get rejected. Okay. Yes.
You know, Erica, I was a product manager for 15 years, so I'll take the shade that you're throwing.
No shade. I didn't like it.
But what did you learn then from that experience around the relationship between CS and product?
Yeah, I actually feel like there was a lot of like beef between customer success and product.
More than customer success and sales?
Yeah. I would say
Wow.
so. I mean, I can't, again, I've only worked at 2 software companies, Pendo being the majority of my time. And we've had really, really good like sales and CS relationships. Now at InMotion Now, that shit was not good. I mean, they were just like, you know, selling shit that didn't make sense. And we were like constantly having to clean up their mess. But I can really truly say that the sales org at Pendo is like probably just top notch. They're really great. And there's a great partnership there. The product team, you know, I think just had, there wasn't a lot of communication between the 2 teams. There wasn't a lot of like, here's why we're not doing this, or I don't know what it was, but I think that it really helped create empathy for both sides, where it was like, okay, CS doesn't understand why product isn't doing certain things. Product doesn't understand why customer success is asking for these things or saying certain things or whatever, or blaming product for, customers being at risk. So there was a lot of this, like, we don't understand each other. So I
what were you able
tried to
do
bring some of that.
Yeah, like what were you able to do to bridge the two or try to bridge the two?
I just had the experience. When I was talking to PMs, I would come at it from a customer perspective. I don't think at that point we had really ever come at it from a true, like, customer centric lens of like, let's talk to customers, let's get in front of customers, let's talk to these people who are talking to these customers every day, because it felt like, well, we're product managers and we know best. And I'm like, okay, but what customers have you talked to? None. I'm like, then how do you know? So I think there was just like a shift in how how product was actually starting to bring in customers and customer success into the fold, into the product development cycle. It wasn't all me, but I think it helped.
Well, you were a catalyst, right? So has
Sure.
has that taken effect? Has that still taken hold? What kinds of
Yeah.
processes do you have now to collaborate between product and CS?
Yeah, so we have pillars now, and so we have a customer-facing representative for every kind of like core pillar that we have. And so we take things we also have products that can help us do this at scale. So we've got feedback collection, we've got, data. And so, yeah, we've just been able to really continue that collaboration and that partnership, just to make sure that there's no surprises. And I think it's really shown in our product. I think our product has made a lot of changes that, and also the way that we release things, we don't go to market unless all of our go-to-market teams are looped in, which back in the day, it was just like, ship it, go. And we were all like, we're not ready. And so it made a bad experience for our customers. At the end of the day, it was those were the ones who suffered the most.
What does that look like when you say like that CS is looped into product releases and upcoming releases? What is like tactically, what is that? Is that a wiki page that goes out? Is that a live demo? What is the procedure?
Yeah, we just have like meetings with what we call the pillars. And so we have customer education, we have customer experience representation, sales engineering. So all the people who touch the customer at whatever point in the life cycle is a part of that product development. So getting feedback, hey, what are we not thinking about? Which customers should be in this beta? Making sure that our customer-facing documentation and all of our videos are up to date so that, customers can actually be enabled. And then we have our go-to-market enablement teams who make sure that, all of the cross-functional teams know how to use the feature before we release it.
That's awesome.
So it's just ongoing meetings, lots and lots of communication, maybe over communication, but that's better than not enough.
Yeah. So you went back from product into a senior manager role. But that was direct in customer success. So that was, I assume that's going to be the named CS team. This is not in scale yet.
Correct.
What was the difference that you found, between manager and senior? Like was there a difference that you could kind of identify between the two, or was it merely a linear path?
Not really a lot of difference, to be honest. I did go back to just manager and then I was promoted to senior. I'm not going to bullshit you, it was more just time and role and expertise and, honing my craft and bringing value to the company.
The big shift, and this, you touched on this earlier, when you were kind of in the enterprise space, is like you and I we talk about this a lot, but like, we're very similar in this, where it's like, man, like I love talking to people and I love relationships, but like, how do I become a force multiplier? Like, how do I get into this scale model? And I think, I know scale's kind of all the rage right now, but just when it comes to a timeline, like you were kind of ahead of this, right? And Pendo's kind of been leading a lot of the stuff in this. And I'm a Pendo fan. Like, you'll hear me talk about it all the time. But like, walk me through that thought of, okay, I'm going to move into this scale. Pendo's going to build out these roles and I'm going to lead this. But what was it like on day one when you took over the scale team? And you know, when you left, you know, into the enablement role that you're in right now, like give me an A to B, like what's the change that you impacted and what's the things that you learned that led
Yeah.
you into kind of the path that you're on?
Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I've been in so many roles, but because Pendo was changing and going through so much transformation that it was truly like a different company every time I turned around. It felt like every year it was just like a new problem to solve, which is exciting. So when I went back into management, I was actually co-leading a large like commercial customer success team where it was like 500 to 5,000 was like the employee
Okay.
size of these customers. So we had like some small that were like, I mean, that was kind of like our size at that time, Pendo size, where we were growing, we were, you know, acquiring, we were, you know, doing big things. And then we had these like kind of very, not stagnant in a bad way, but stable, larger commercial accounts. And so, you know, I kind of naturally gravitated towards building out more of that scaled strategy. We implemented, sorry, Kristi, churn zero. And then I was
Kristi
like, I'm
leaves.
sorry,
No. Listen, they're good at that. That their platform does support that, right? Like we're a high engagement model platform. So
And I also use client success at InMotion now. I just want to shout that out.
yay.
Big fan. So yeah, so we implemented, you know, a CS tool, which was totally, you know, supposed to help us scale and have multi-channel, you know, strategy and communication. And we really were focused on just like the foundation and the backbone of like customer success, just the day-to-day function. And then we were really shifting towards this like high strategy, you know, get it high and wide within the organization, which wasn't my favorite thing, but leading folks that were doing those things, you know, I was like, you know, able to help those folks grow in their careers. And then we had someone who was leading the scale CS org at the time. And I, you know, I would work really closely with him. Actually, it was the guy who hired me at InMotion now. So it all is full circle. But then when he left, my leader was like, hey, we need somebody to fill this role. And I was like, say no more.
Did you take him out?
No, of course not. Gosh,
Because Kristi
I would
would
never
have done
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a whole like
I
Nancy
would
Kerrigan,
never.
Tanya Harding situation.
Yeah.
Take him
No,
out at the knees.
right place, right. You know, I was actually on parental leave when this guy left, so I was just like, "Hello, I'm
So
here."
Erica, I want to give you a shout out because I really like your LinkedIn resume, your resume which is posted on LinkedIn. I want to refer all of our 10 listeners to Erica's LinkedIn profile. It's Erica with a C, and it's Erica Akroyd. Her husband is the nephew of Dan Akroyd.
Damn. Yes.
Yes.
Coneheads. All
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. Coneheads, Tommy Boy, it all. But the one thing I really like about your profile here is you have, like, for your current role, you have notable results. And I want to read off your notable results in the past year and a half that you've had as senior manager, scale customer success and programs. Inbound email volume decreased by 30% in the first 3 months, increased discussion forum traffic by 118%, with customers answering 36% more questions, 38% increase in second week retention of new users, and 67% of users logging back into the product after a no login activity. Risk program was launched. I want you to pick one of those that impresses you the most. I've got one on top of my mind, and I want you to tell us how it's done. And actually, before you do that, the reason I refer people to your profile here is I know there's lots of folks that are looking, you know, for new work or looking to scale up their own careers, and being like metric outcome driven,
Yes.
in like very quantifiable ways here. I like, kudos to you. I think it reads really well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Before she makes her favorite thing, I also want to make sure that you lob on to that. We also implemented the no login activity risk program because of Erica, and we have had similar reports. So you can also include our successes in your career.
That's awesome. Okay, it's really hard to pick one. It's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
Oh, that's easy. Come on.
Oh, that's easy. I was gonna say, doesn't everyone have a favorite child?
I
No,
will.
we only have one Kristi, so it's easier.
Whatever.
For you
So
than
she's
others.
my favorite. So mind your business, Josh.
Okay, I have to go with the first one, the inbound email volume, because I think it sets us up for the rest of it. And there's a story where when I came into the scaled customer success team, I had one customer success manager, one for 800 customers and $40 million in revenue.
What?
And it was a perfect storm of org structure changes, people leaving to go do other things. We had folks go to professional services, TAM, sales, whatever. People just went gone. And I came into like, wait, what? I have one customer success manager, and there was really no, as much as they want to say they were scaled customer success, they weren't, because they were doing a lot of one-to-one things over and over and over and over again. I'm like, that's not scale. That's, that's just insanity. So the first thing that I did was I just basically like put a pause on anything that the CSM was doing. And I said, you can't talk to customers anymore unless it's like dire, urgent need. I'm serious.
I
Like
love
it was not very popular amongst our sales. And that's maybe the one time where sales was like, what the fuck is this girl doing? Like she's coming in and she's saying, I can't talk. I'm like, this. And they honestly, they understood though, because they knew I had one CSM and they felt horrible. They were like, oh my gosh, we'll figure it out. We'll help you. I mean, some people were like, I'm desperate. So we would help in certain scenarios. So we just did a lot of, so I had a CSM, I had a program manager, and I had a community manager. Those were my three people. And we had one guy who was on parental leave. So I'm like, great. Three people on my team for 800 customers. And we went and looked at the data, and a lot of the questions we were getting were around new user overviews, onboarding, and how do I do this? How do I do that? So we started basically a bi-weekly onboarding, bi-weekly new user overview. So if there was even a whiff of, hey, I need help using this, or hey, I'm kind of new, or whatever, we would direct people to this webinar. So we just said, oh, this sounds like something that would be really helpful with this webinar that's either this week or next week or, whatever, the week after. And we also had recordings. So if they missed it, we just sent them one from the last week. So we had, this inbound email volume that was just like rocking this dude. I felt so bad. He was just like drowning in Zendesk. And that's not what I want my CSM to do. I know CSMs, regardless of what segment you're in, they're valuable, assets to the company. And him just answering emails, one-off emails, is not what's, going to bring value to these customers. So after we implemented the new user overview, the 2 week, every other week, over and over, we were able to reduce the volume just by deflecting, putting people, in these new user overviews, or putting them into the discussion forum, or, whatever we had to do to basically not get on a call with them, we did. And luckily we had some really good, education. We had Academy, we had our community, our discussion forum. So thankfully we had the resources to send people to. If we didn't, then I would have probably cried and maybe not wanted to take that job. But I knew that we had a really strong education team and a foundation there. So I felt comfortable kind of like pushing people off.
Well, I think you also just kind of like really well defined what scale is supposed to be, right? I mean, you shouldn't use humans for what humans are for, right? If there's data there that can be found, let's direct them to the data that they need, so that when you do get on a call with somebody, it's a meaningful interaction and not just, hey, how do I log in? We can take care of all of that programmatically.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So we're now coming up to today. And you are in senior manager.
It's not going to be on my resume.
It's not, no, senior manager of customer enablement, correct?
Customer education.
Education. Okay, sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, they basically moved customer education and community under the product organization. And
that's actually was going to be my next role, was like if you're aligned with sales or product. So
product.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was kind of interesting at first, like, in this reorg, they took my community manager, and I was so mad, but I was like, whatever, we're still going to work together. It's fine. But I was like, oh, there was a reason I hired her, because I knew how critical community was going to be to scaling customer success. And so after not even a year in this scale role, there was an opportunity for me to move over to this education role where I would work more closely with the education team that does like our knowledge base, all of our product led, Pendo on Pendo, the instructional design videos, and then working really closely with our like product growth team, and doing a lot more true, like, we have no humans, like, what do we do? So I've literally gone from, customer facing to my team is really solely responsible
So
for
I never want to
helping
talk to a
people
customer
without a
again.
human. Yeah. I'm like, we are not customer facing, but we create the content that enables our customers at the foundational level so that they can get what they need. And the only time hopefully they talk to a human is to get more of that high value, that high impact.
Man,
Erica,
Jesus.
what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
No, seriously, like there will be
Faltorusso.
no you. Listen, I promise you, if we had a spinoff, I would give you 100,000 reasons why you don't. That's just kidding. I love my life; it's great. But maybe there's life after Pendo. Maybe. What are your career aspirations? Right, you've done so much cool stuff here. You've made clearly a huge impact. All of your notable results are here for anybody to go and check out. Impact is real. What is like? What's your ultimate goal? Right, like what do you want to do?
I do see myself being like a chief customer officer someday. I think that would be really cool because I think I've had the product experience. I've been under the product org, I've been under the customer success org, and I think I could bring a really unique perspective going back into like customer success or being a chief customer officer where I can really help guide and I don't know, like optimize the strategy for how customer success is at any company, honestly. I mean, we don't have a chief customer officer at Pendo, so maybe one day, but yeah, totally see myself kind of going in that direction. Even though I'm not under the customer success org or revenue, I still, everything I do is like very customer focused and user centric. So.
And I think this also bubbles up another topic that I love about our industry is it's not just, we always say customer success is a whole organization. It's a whole company motion. But, for folks that are like looking at getting into customer success, it's not just getting a CSM job. It is looking at all of the peripherals, and you pretty much have done all of them. I haven't seen a sales role, but that's fine.
I did renewals when I was a CSM. Another reason I didn't want to be in enterprise because I was like, this is too much pressure. I would give it all away for free, And I got really good at renewals, but I did not like it. Yeah, I mean, I always say for people who are interested in like customer success, you either get really lucky and you have someone who's willing to give you a shot, or you have to like find your way in another way. And a lot of times that's like SDR roles or whatever sales entry level role. But I actually helped this guy who was in construction get a job as a implementation specialist for a construction management software company. So I'm like, find the place where you're going to be the subject matter expert and just like go there. So if you're a former educator, go in through the customer education route because we're looking for people who can train people and, teach people. And I always say my quote is always solve for the 80%. And that has been true when I was in scale and customer education now. So you can't please everybody. You just have to figure out what works for the 80% and then tack on all of the other more tactical, one-to-one, one-to-many on top of that.
This was
Erica,
good.
What do you think? I want to end with this here. What's your prediction for the future of customer success?
My prediction, I think that people need to be flexible. And if there's one thing that I've been in my career is I haven't been tied to a title. I've never been tied to a title or a department or, anything that I think things should be. And I just kind of go where the business needs me to go. And I would say that stay flexible. If you're not used to doing renewals and that becomes part of your job, say yes, figure it out. If you like renewals, but that is no longer a part of your job, say yes and figure it out. And eventually you'll find your way into what, is going to be ultimately what makes you happiest.
Man, I want to touch on that just a little bit and then we can drop Josh. But it's interesting because I want to point this out because I do think it's a little bit counter to what society tells individual contributors to say, like, if you're doing something that you don't like, leave, right? Like, but you said something really important, and it's something that I believe is, you you love Pendo, obviously, or whatever company you're working for, right? But you have a job there, you have a role there, you have something that you're doing, and it's providing income and value, and that company values you, to a certain extent, and I really like the perspective of saying, like, if you find a spot that you love that works, like, say yes to where you can provide value for the company, right? If the company comes to you, and I don't know how many people have the opportunity for, a CEO to come to you and be like, hey, I think you'd be great at this, but that's my hope, is that these are the organizations. And I know that that's the way that
Yeah.
Pendo runs. But I just want to put a bullet point on that, like, sometimes, like, the job is to do the job, and sometimes the job changes. And I really like flexibility, obviously within boundaries. We don't want to be taken advantage of in any way,
Sure.
but I think that's an incredibly mature perspective, and I think it shows a lot in the growth that you've kind of had over the last few years. Is that flexibility with a point, meaning to continually provide value and to seek out that thing that really kind of ignites you as an individual, and the best people are the ones that never actually achieve that just keep searching, right? And
Keep
that,
learning, keep growing. There's always something new. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with customer success, but I know that things will change regardless. I mean, it's already changed so much just from the time I was in customer success to what it is now. And with the way, macroeconomic environment is working, like, don't resist change, just kind of go with it. And your company will see kind of like that you're open to trying new things. And who knows, like, I never thought that I was ever going to be in customer success, that I would ever be doing what I do now. And I've changed and changed and changed, and it's just been an interesting ride. So.
And the last thing on that is that change is going to help you. You want to be a CCO? Well, what better knowledge base than having sat in different seats and having a broader perspective of the organization? That is what will prepare you for that executive role at Pendo. And then eventually you'll keep climbing, whether it's there or somewhere else. Erica, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Really enjoyed it. I think our listeners are going to get a lot of value from hearing your story and your journey. And have a great week, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Erica.
Bye.